November 18th, Brian, was a Saturday, and I had a wonderful Saturday. I had a wonderful day going. I was up to hear the rooster crow, and by the way, that's literal because there's a rooster that lives in the backyard of the neighbor a couple doors down, and they don't just crow at daylight, they crow all day. But I was up early. The Monroe brothers came over. They're working in the yard. The Leaf people had done their work, and now we did all the detail stuff because the yard goof that I fired last year, old Landon, he still does the place on either side of me. So he does a shitty job. So I had to clean off the fence rows on their sides too. So I send the Monroes over there with the blowers and the rakes, and they do me about a 10-foot strip on either side. And we got a bunch of junk hauled away, and our old refrigerator, we got that loaded up for our friends from Versailles came over and picked that up because the new appliances have come in. More on that in a moment. And I played out the yard with Harley and Stace and I had a wonderful dinner. And then I say, you know what? I'm not going to ruin this day by having to try to sit there. And I knew I couldn't stay awake through the whole thing because it goes for hours and hours and hours. Of course, we're talking about the AEW pay-per-view, fully loaded, geared up, and ready to go, whatever the fuck their name is. I said, I can't start this now. I'll kill my day. I'll get up early in the morning on Sunday, and I'll try to suffer through this, and then we'll record this program. And Brian, now I've realized that I don't want to ruin my Sunday either. I am amazed at how anybody could present something like they presented on that event and not be ashamed of themselves and not be scared they're going to get kicked off their television network with all the upheavals going on in the world of television and wrestling broadcasting. And just to not apologize to everybody that's ever been an active participant in professional wrestling for dropping their pants, spreading their cheeks, and taking a big shit on everything that's ever gone on in the history of the wrestling business. Because two dumb shits want to go out there and jack themselves off for 45 minutes at the expense of everybody else that's ever going to try to make money in the wrestling business ever again. And maybe I'm not going to be alone. Why would you watch anything else ever in wrestling after that? Well, except for the WWE, who actually have stars that people don't even care whether they wrestle or not. But I think Tony Khan has allowed himself to be bent over and anally protruded up to his tonsils if he ever thinks he can get any interest in any physical angle or move or goddamn happening in his indie little garbage company ever again. They have gone full fucking garbage. They might as well bring the bank-addicted drug robber in and make him the champion. I know the plumber would second that thought, but we know that he needs a brain scan.
Was it the entirety of the match, or was it the specific spot with the blood drinking?
You know what? Hold on here one second. Let me get my notes. Hold on here so that I can tear them up.
No, don't. No.
What we're gonna? We are trashing the format. I'm Tony Storm. I've ripped up my script.
Tony Storm
that ripped up her script. I don't see.
I like Tony Scorn.
Tony Scorm. They've got me so frazzled I can't form a cogent simile. We were going to do a normal opening to the program and talk and everything, and I was going to explain to you over the course of this that I don't ever want to watch wrestling again. And I figure, you being the fucking professionally dedicated person that you are, you might take issue with that. I don't know, because you saw the same thing. You probably might just get mad at me because, hey, motherfucker, I had to watch this whole thing. But what? I turned it off. I have seen the predominant part of AEW Full Gear from the Kia Forum. They couldn't get a full-size American car, goddamn, by the naming rights. I've seen the predominant part of it. I turned it off after the Swerve, Strickland, and Hangnail Page. What would you call that? It wasn't a match. It wasn't a fight because they were obviously cooperating. It wasn't a match because it wasn't an athletic contest or a struggle in any fashion. It was a ridiculous, I don't know, kung fu movie scene from the 70s with fucking props where the bad kung fu guy jumps up 25 feet in the air, does 4 fucking triple flips over frontwards, and then goes to kick the hero, but he stops time with his fucking arm movements and then kicks the guy 7 times in the face in 1 second, and they fly through a wall. That's about how realistic it was. So it wasn't a match. It wasn't a contest. It wasn't a fight because you could tell they were cooperating with each other to do stupid shit, silly shit, nonsense, stuff that nobody could possibly live through, except it was as phony as a fucking football bat. What have they wrapped themselves up in their video games to the point where they don't remember what is really legitimately possible for the human anatomy and what's a bunch of bullshit that's just killing any potential angle or injury or hospitalization deal or devastating finish that you could ever do again in wrestling for the saps that were sucker enough to have to sit through and watch this, including me?
I think it's all about cheap pops. It's all about whatever you're going to get a reaction from in the room, and you got a lot of oohs and ahs. My question was, did you make it through the match, or did you stop at a certain point of the match?
No, I was transfixed at how not only stupid, we knew that Page was, I believe, a great man once said, an empty-headed dumb fuck who's never done anything in the business, but I didn't know he was completely mentally unstable. I thought he was just a soft, whiny little bitch. But he's a goddamn idiot. And Swerve, who we've talked about having talent. I didn't realize that he was also a mental fucking incompetent. And I didn't know that either one of them would be allowed to go out there and ruin Tony Khan's business without somebody at the direction of Tony fucking Khan sending the hook out there to get them out of that fucking ring.
Well, based on the fact you just ripped up these notes and you decided to talk about this, I don't know if we're going to review this match right now, but let me just ask you this, whether it's this match or anything else, I don't think it'll be something like Kota Ibushi on a bike, but something like this match. At what point is AWA? At what point is AEW going to have their cocaine spot? You know what I mean? The thing that they do that they think is okay, that they justify in their minds, that their partners go, I may not want to do more business with you.
Haven't they just done it? Haven't they just done it when, remember I've told you the story before, when the Sheik ran Cincinnati, and in the Sheik's territory, Cincinnati was the second biggest drawing town behind Detroit. It had been since Barnett owned the territory in the 50s. Cincinnati was drawing 10, 12,000 people to the Gardens, right? And through the early 70s, it was huge. But we've talked about Sheik's territory. They aged out, but also all of the violence and the blood and the gaga. Not only could you not follow it with the fans, but then they had problems with the TV stations. And when Jerry Jarrett went to Cincinnati to try to get TV in 1980, because the Sheik had been off TV there for 2 or 3 years, at least at that point, except for he got his show on WLW Channel 5, the strongest station in the market, in 1979 for a while in the summertime at 1:30 at Friday night, Saturday morning. And you couldn't promote Jesus Christ versus Satan in a fucking arm wrestling match in Cincinnati at 1:30 in the morning, right? And he couldn't afford to run the Gardens anymore. The town had been a big town for 20 years. It was dead. Jarrett tried to get TV, and he went to one of the stations, and they said, the program director called him back and said, come here, I want to show you something. And he pulled out a tape that he had in his office and stuck it in the machine, and there was Sheik's TV from a few years before that when he was hot-shotting, trying to get the town back. And it was him holding the snake up to the fucking job guy's head while he's hanging him over the ropes. But in the other hand, the Sheik's cutting him with a blade. And the program director said, that's why pro wrestling will never be on my TV station. And it's not just AEW or, the initials don't matter, the NWA, whatever. When these people who don't give a fuck about wrestling except as a commodity on their station, if they won't watch this, we'll get fucking Hucklebuck Rules. What's that fucking guy's name? Vanderpump. We'll get that. We'll get somebody watches. They don't have to have wrestling. So they think of wrestling by what the experience they have is, and it's all wrestling. And Vince, to his credit, that's what he was trying to overcome that a lot of the promoters inflicted on themselves, but now it gotten completely out of hand. Does a cable network or a broadcast platform, do they want to deal with a company that's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, that's involved TKO, that's with Endeavor, multi-billion-dollar company producing all this television programming? They're the brand name. Yeah. Or do they want to deal with some guy that's putting on a program where they're drinking each other's blood legitimately for real on their fucking pay-per-views? What do they think they're going to get on their TV show? A human sacrifice? Goat fucking? What?
And you're not even talking about the idea, what if Adam Page somehow gets a bloodborne disease or something? I'm not saying Swerve has anything, but we don't know what's going on. Usually you don't drink people's blood like that, especially in a public square.
Usually you don't drink people's blood like that. No, normally you put it in a glass, couple of cubes of ice, maybe a little garnish.
But you don't just drink other people's blood. You don't know what's going on with people, So
hey, and somebody's gonna out there, hold on, because very important point you just made, and I don't want anybody to fucking misconstrue it. Somebody's gonna say, oh, all those wrestlers are tested and they have to go through the health protocol. In the WWE, they are. We don't know what the fuck's going on over there at the medical facilities
even if he's tested. Hey, did you get your test back? Yeah, I got nothing. All right, I'll drink it. There's no argument that anyone can make that make me say, okay, I'll just lay here and drink some of that blood. None. If we're talking about this match before we review the match, talking around the match, can I ask you something about the actual booking of what's been happening? Beyond the match and the spectacle of it. Beyond the fact that it happened. How did any of this help Adam Page? He lost! After all of that, he lost! The cool heel won! The guy who breaks into houses, mugs people in their houses,
terrorizes babies,
does promos on babies and throws merch at them. This guy, after all that...
Hey, we've said it a million times. You can terrorize a baby, you can cut promos on a baby, but you can't throw the merchandise.
Adam Page is suddenly wearing black. You didn't see the promo on Dynamite. She didn't watch it. He did a good for Adam Page promo to fire people up. Has this long, torturous match for both the audience and the person in it, whoever you want to be on the side of, other than Nana, who's having a ball.
Yeah.
He's having a ball.
He's a bet. I love you, poo-poo, to Prince Nana, by the way. I've always loved Nana.
You know what? He is so perfect with Swerve because he's the exact opposite of Swerve. Whatever seriousness and badassery Swerve gives off, Nana's out there doing his dance, and it works. But it went on forever, and then Adam Page lost. I don't want to see these guys again. After the last match, it's like, okay, it's over. The feud's over. And then they introduced all this other stuff. And then he lost again. He lost again.
But no, wait, it makes perfect sense because the babyface fighting for the honor of his baby kicked the shit out of the heel last week on free television and took the heat completely off the fucking heel. So on the show that they had to pay to see, where that's where you would expect retribution, that's when they turned the tables and the heel won. And the babyface was standing there with his tiny dick in his ineffective hand.
Here's what the finish should have been. Adam Page should have beat the shit out of Swerve, gotten him down, and then pulled back and stopped. And then waved to someone in the crowd. Here's the wife pushing the crib through the crowd. He hits Swerve with the crib. And then the kid urinates. He holds the kid over Swerve. And he urinates on Swerve. Everyone gets retribution. The kid, the wife, and of course Adam, the Hangman Page.
You know what? I swear to God, I was with you until I thought you were going to say, and he hits Swerve with the baby.
You know, they have fake windows and they have fake offices. Why not a fake baby you can use as a gimmick? Why not at this point? Snitsky had one.
Don't kick the baby. You know, folks, again, this is more entertaining than the match was. What we're talking about here now, but back to seriousness for a second. So yes, so let's say, for the purposes of saying what a lot of other people have been talking about, that all these media rights that are still up in the air, whether it's AEW's renewals or whether it's WWE's uncompleted arrangements or whatever, and things are switching around, popping around from network to network. If WBD was indeed interested in having the WWE programming on their networks, the programs that don't lose 25% of the audience from start to finish or don't have an audience to begin with, or the programs that do end on time except when they're scheduled to go over, and the programs that do come from buildings with fucking people in them, then what is to prevent them, regardless of what kind of deal exists now, to them saying, you know what, goddamn, when this thing's over with, this contract is up, do we want to go with the people that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, or do we want to go with the people that are drinking blood and using broken glass and barbed wire? And I haven't seen, hey, kids, don't try this at home in a while. And you know what? I'm looking at fucking YouTube and kids are trying this at home. There's the fucking Wheeler Useless's little pudgy brother that jumps off the shit into barbed wire. What's his name?
Superhuman. That's one example. I don't know how many kids are trying this specific.
Well, I mean, kids are stupid these days, but to put it for any reason, it's distasteful. It's ridiculous. From a television network broadcasting standpoint, why would you want to show that to a wide audience? That's the kind of shit they used to have on the late night VHS commercials. Too shocking for television. And the train runs over the fucking guy and splatters him everywhere. You're probably not going to see that on NBC. But from a professional standpoint, these selfish, self-indulgent fucking pricks, why would they not leave anything else for not only any individual in their business to ever do to anybody ever again, but their own company, sabotage their own main events, not only in the building, but their own future business? What is going to be done? How do you get heat on somebody? How does somebody hurt somebody anymore?
There is no heat. Hey, they went into Adam Page's house, terrorized his family. What did the crowd do when Adam Page finally started kicking Swerve's ass? They chanted Swerve's house.
Yes.
They booked Swerve, the heel, to be liked. It was an intentional thing. They booked this guy to be liked, and the fans liked him. The babyface looks like complete shit.
Well, I mean, also it's Page to begin with, and who likes him? Nobody. But again, what to do your stories, even if all the fans watching AEW know it's fake, and they reinforce that thought at every opportunity. just to do your own program. Okay, I would like so-and-so to hurt MJF to set up some type of angle or feud or match or whatever. Well, let's see. What can we do to him to hurt him and make people feel sorry for him that he's been hurt by this no good son of a bitch? Can we break a cinder block over his head? No.
What if he got thrown off an airplane?
Well, that might work, but it's going to be awful hard to shoot. We're going to have to throw the cameraman with the GoPro on his head out of the plane also so he can follow him all the way down. But no, seriously, they've hit a guy with a fucking cinder block. They drop people upside down through fucking tables and or boards wrapped in barbed wire. They've fucking done everything but jam the fucking hand grenade up the guy's ass and pull the pin. And it's not only, they've somehow managed to be fake and phony and at the same time real and dangerous and silly and stupid and at the same time distasteful and repulsive. And I don't know how that anybody operating that fucking fiasco over there couldn't have gone to Tony and said, are you out of your mind? You're going to let them do this shit? Well, you're killing your own business. And that's why that they continue to trend downward. You can't follow the shit because the shit's always the same and they do too much of it. And then the next time somebody sees it, they say, oh, it didn't beat that guy. It didn't beat the other guy. Why would it beat this guy? And he has half a fucking team because they're all hurt. They're all injured. Wonder why? Doing stupid shit that nobody believes anyway. Nobody cares about any of them. They're just sitting there. The fans they have left and the ones they had to begin with is all cut from the same cloth. They're sitting there watching people bash each other over and over with shit with no meaning, no context. And they just want to go, oh. And then they leave and they can't remember half of it when they went home. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, the fact that Adam Page lost still is amazing, but you have to remember what AEW is. It's Tony Khan using the money his dad has given him to live out his dream. And what Tony does is he tries to let these wrestlers live out whatever dream, whatever idea they have. He doesn't want to say no. He only wants to expand upon what they want to do. That's AEW. That's the reality of AEW.
So I don't know whether, again, the distastefulness, or the unprofessionalism, or the phoniness, or the silliness, at the same time risking their various bones. I would say risk their neck, their legs, their whatever the fuck. But let's talk about these fucking self-indulgent Whoa.
With those
and
ones?
The phone's going to ring. I forgot to move the phone.
Those nitwits on the phone?
Hold on. Hello. Hello. Hi. You're a fucking electronic voice speaking to me, and I'm humoring you. I like to fuck donkeys. How about you?
Whoa.
You know, I don't think it's programmed to take that response.
Yeah, I hope it's not recorded.
Yeah, I said hello because I was going to choose somebody out, right? It was like, hello. I'm like, hello? Hello, this is so-and-so with such and such, and you heard what I said, and then there was just silence, but it was a recorded voice. Anyway, where were we?
I don't know.
Are we still on the air now?
We can be. We don't have to be, but we were talking, we were not reviewing, we were just talking about Swerve.
Well, we were about to review it. Because, okay. Again, I think I was saying whether the unprofessionalism or the fakeness and phoniness and the risk, and everybody's hurt. Everybody's injured because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and nobody is there to restrain them. So let's go up from the beginning of this fucking fiasco to the end when I decided to quit watching wrestling and turn this fucking thing off.
Well, hold on. Are we going to talk about just that one match right now?
Yes, because that's all I want to talk about of this fucking thing.
So you didn't see the two matches after that? I mean, you didn't take a break?
No, I could not I didn't want to ruin my fucking Sunday any more than it was already ruined, and I don't want to see any more wrestling after watching this fucking thing, and I don't want to talk about what I saw beforehand.
I know, but
This was bad enough.
This isn't a Dynamite. This is a pay-per-view. The listeners want to hear you talk about, the MJF thing is a big culmination of things even happening on this show, not just
I see it now. Here, you following your. I know you like a book, Brian Last. You're going to try to fucking talk me. No.
I'm just trying to get you to do what all your loyal listeners are hoping they get to hear from you, a thorough review, a thoughtful review.
If anybody at AEW wanted me to watch this whole show, or anybody else for that matter, they should have put all the good shit on before this match. Because you mean to tell me that the natural response of most wrestling fans or human beings after you saw something like this be, boy, I can't wait to see some more fucking wrestling.
Well, if you think I'm going to try to talk you into watching those other two matches, you're right. But let me just say, I don't think you're wrong in that respect, because if you had kept the TV on, you would have seen that for the final two matches, including the Young Bucks, and this is a hometown show for them, or so to speak, the crowd was dead. The crowd was burned out because it wasn't just the brutality, it was the length of it. And it's hard to follow that. Like you said, how do you ever follow that? But it's hard to follow it that night.
The horribleness and awfulness of it will never be forgotten. And that's the point. You're shitting on your coworkers and on the main events. The matches that were at the top of the card because the people were supposed to pay to see them instead of your undercard bullshit. I mean, those guys, if they had done that in any territory, or it actually in WWE or F or WCW in the 90s, well, not only would they have been fired because they would have been going into business for themselves, they wouldn't have been allowed to do that, but a lot of the boys in the locker room would have been standing in line to kick the shit out of them. Because what the fuck? Can you see goddamn Steve Austin or The Undertaker having to go out in the money match that sold fucking however many millions of dollars of pay-per-views after something like this underneath without going in there and kicking the shit out of these two guys? Holy Christ.